Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Jeff Klein's Speakers Sitting in Chairs, Chatting on Air. I'm Jeff Klein, and my guest this week is another Fuqua. We have Clint Fuqua this time. How you doing, Clint?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, we were. You were telling me you felt like we made some jokes at your expense when I was talking to Win Fuqua, to which you guys, as far as you know, are not related. But
Yeah, as far as we know.
so we'll let you make jokes at Win's expense this time around.
He actually, Gwen actually looks more like my family than I do. So
Oh,
I know there's a relation there somehow. It's odd.
now, do you look more like your family when you have more hair or less hair? Because for those of you who don't know, Clint actually shaves his hair. You've done it, what, 2 or 3 times now for charity?
Yeah, I've done it 3 times so far, and it's been for St. Baldrick's. So year number 4 will be coming up this coming April, and this is 5 months of growth right here.
Okay, so you grow it, so you don't get haircuts until April.
Well, last year, yeah, I got haircuts and stuff. This year, I decided, as just part of the fun of this whole thing, I'm not touching my hair for an entire year. So this literally is 5 months untouched.
Okay.
I got some growth in the back and everything. So I'm gonna be looking very 70s rocker-esque by around February or so, because it grows quick.
So we'll be able to match you up with our friend who's the rock and roll guy, Tim Gillette.
Yes.
There's my roommate coming by, walking by. So you're a health and fitness guy, but you weren't always a health and fitness guy, right?
No, that's been it.
All right. Well, how did that become your life path and then your career?
Funny enough, I suck at sports.
Okay.
Okay, I'm a trainer and I suck at sports. All right, I hated playing football. I didn't like playing basketball. I didn't like playing sports at all. I really didn't. So I tried. I became the most injured athlete my 8th grade year. I think I still hold a record for the most number of injuries.
Which year?
Because I was my eighth grade.
8th grade. Okay.
So 8th grade year, most injured athlete. I mean, I lived in the training room. I was in the training room. I left the training room. I came right back in with something new. So I spent so much time in there rehabbing myself.
You were rehabbing while I was studying for my bar mitzvah. You were rehabbing.
Yes, basically. So I'm in and out of the place the entire year, and of course freshman year's coming up, and it's like, well, okay, I don't want to do PE. I don't want to play sports. What am I going to do here? And the head trainer looks at me and says, like, you want to be a student trainer? Because I need some new trainers. I got people that are leaving. I'm like, so I get to do this all day? She's like, yeah, okay, I'm in. Because I was already doing injury rehab stuff on people like halfway through my 8th grade year. So I did that, and of course I loved working out. I'm a rock star in the gym, but you get me out of the gym and forget it, I'm toast. So I did both of those all the way through high school and just kept on.
So the no-brainer trainer.
The no-brainer trainer.
Yeah, well, it was a no-brainer for you to make that decision, right?
Yeah, it's a no-brainer to make the decision. Yeah, it's just that's what I've done. I mean, I grew up in the gym, so I mean, I was going to the gym whenever I was, in diapers because my dad took me there. That was just a part of life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just, so I've always been in it, I've always done it, I've always been good at it, and I've always been like the go-to guy for everybody for everything.
Wow. Yeah, see, I played high school, I played sports as a kid. I mean, I was a pretty good defender in soccer and a little bit of goalie, baseball, terrible. Put on football pads for the first time when I was 7 years old, because in Richardson at the YMCA back then, we played full contact, full pad tackle football in first grade.
Wow.
Yeah, and then in 9th grade, I entered the high school in Wayne, New Jersey, and if I turned left, I could have played soccer, and if I turned right, it was to play football. And I hate to run. Even to this day, I don't like running. So I turned right to play football. Now I ran my share of laps and stairs playing football, but As a lineman, as a center and a guard, there's not a lot of not a lot,
Yeah,
not
you're not running routes.
so that was my gym experience was for football,
Mhm.
and I had a neck that was the same size as my head when I was a senior in high school. But that was actually a good thing, because
Oh yeah, yeah.
it was all muscle. There was no extra chins at 17. They came later. So now you work with people in their houses and at their businesses too, not just at you bring the gym to them.
Yes, somewhat. So, when it comes to like businesses and inside their business, that's more education stuff.
Okay.
But if a business wants to put a gym in their place, I've got resources I can get them to for that.
Well, that's cool.
And so yeah, I'm kind of a one-stop shop. It's just I've been around for so long now. I've been doing this for 20 years. I built up a lot of relationships and things like that with other people. So I have other resources I can go out to for certain things like that. So if you're business and you need some gym equipment, contact me. We can get you hooked up.
Nice.
And then I can come into all the education stuff. But for in-homes, yeah, in-home stuff, I'll come into the house. Same thing, we'll do custom setup. Or I'll just show you where to get things. We'll do that. You get set up. I come in. We go through workouts, and it's just being like at a gym, but you don't have all the people around.
Now, when did you decide that speaking was something that was the right way to promote your business?
Funny enough, I fell into speaking. Well, I started off doing technical speaking. So I was doing education stuff for trainers. So I was actually instructing. I was doing instruction for biomechanics. Did some of that at the Cooper Institute. And that was just fun. Cause
you're involved with the association, the Trainers Association?
No, this is one of the gyms I worked out, which was North Dallas Athletic Club, which turned into Telos. They brought us in, or actually the head trainer there, Everett Auberg, he had a biomechanics course. And so all the trainers there at Telos would come in. We were the associates, presenters, and instructors for the biomechanics course. So we come in and we do the breakout sessions. We basically instruct all the other trainers on what to do and all that other stuff. So it was, for me, it was like 15 minutes of new audience every time, doing just some good facts, having some fun, throwing some jokes out there because they're all stressed out. Okay, their heads are just doing this all day with the information we're giving them. So I try to calm them down, chill them out a little bit, throw some jokes out there, simplify things a little bit, put them at ease, and it was fun. I was on stage for an entire day. I got to just go nuts and crack jokes and have fun teaching. So that's really where that came from. And did that, going to do some corporate wellness as well. I got contracted out by a company out of California. Did some corporate wellness presentations for them. It's different companies here in Dallas area. And the companies liked me. The company that contracted me didn't like me. And I'll
you got great reviews.
I couldn't stay on script because they'd send me all the slides, presentations. Here's a presentation, stay on script, and you're just basically going through slide after slide after slide, and
that's
that
too
bored. Yeah. So I would interject extra stuff, throw other things out there. Like, can you please just stay on topic? Like, I'm on topic. I'm giving them some extra, and so that lasted for about a year, and then they contracted out with somebody else that was more robotic. So did that, got out of the scene for a little while, helped run a nutritional supplement company for several years, and that was a dream job. Ended, sadly, and then it was okay, I'm back in, I'm doing training, I'm doing health coaching, how do I get stuff out there? And of course that's when I got introduced to you, thanks to Jeff McKissick. Jeff McKissick, you're the man, thank you. So without Jeff McKissick, I wouldn't have met you, or Superior Co-op. So, um,
Great.
so yeah, and then since then it's just been education. Of course, I've got the book. See, hey, look at that, I have a book. Um,
You have a
uh,
book on a T-shirt? That's incredible.
huh?
I said you have a book
Yeah.
on a T-shirt.
So,
That's amazing.
yes. See, look at that. It's shameless self-promotion. People
That's okay.
learn to do shameless self-promotion. Um, but yeah, I've got the book and everything, so you might as well you better start speaking and doing presentations, because honestly, I'm a total introvert. I like being in my little fortress of solitude here. I don't like going out. I don't like being out around people very often. But I love being up on stage.
Yeah, that's great. There's a lot of famous people with that same trait.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What? So tell us about the book.
The book, Personal Healthcare Reform. Basically, it's a blueprint. So I sat down. I started thinking about all my clients, anybody I've talked to,
I'm
and
going to
it's the
ask you
whole
how you
thing of.
wrote it. Yeah.
Hmm?
Keep going. I want to learn. I want to learn how you got it written.
Okay. Well, the premise is it's what does somebody need to do to get in better shape? What questions do they need to ask themselves before they ever set foot in the gym, before they ever start doing a diet, before they start doing any of that stuff? What questions do they need to ask themselves? What do they need to know about themselves before they start making a change so it actually sticks, so they'll actually stick with it? And that's where the book came from. How I wrote it started off as a bunch of seminars. So it started off first off as I went backwards on this whole thing. Normally people write a book and they do seminars out of the book. Mine was I did a series of seminars. I took those, I condensed them down, and they just kind of turned into a book. It was an organic thing that just happened.
Yeah, I'm the. That's the trajectory that makes it easy to get done for me. Repurposing other content, into a different format.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So
you know,
I went the long way around.
yeah. Is it in the format of a workbook? Yeah.
Actually, yeah, it's both. It's both. So I start with the book. I was like, the book's good, but it's missing something. Oh yeah, I need something for people to actually use and have some interaction with. So that's where the workbook came in. So the workbook is actually the work through it book,
Got it.
because you got to work through it. So yeah, it's a dual series in that.
Great. How are you doing with getting people to buy it?
Um, let's see here. It's slow. People will buy the book. It'll save your life. It'll save your health. It'll save you a lot of money in the end. So no, it's just I know it's a process of getting it out there. I mean, I had it on my website, just independently published.
Yeah.
It's on Amazon now. As you can see, look, it's on Amazon. And so I had a webinar 2 weeks ago to help push it and drive it in a little bit, and the webinar wasn't quite as successful as I had hoped. That happens. For all the writers out there, whenever you do webinars, some will be good, some will just absolutely tank. Get ready for that. And so now it's just the process of getting it out there and repetition, getting everybody to see it, and normally it's like 6 touches before anybody does something, and now it's like 25 or 30 video brushes before somebody even realizes something is there. So
Yeah.
it's just continuously putting it out there, and of course I've got the radio show too. So
Yeah, I was going
trying
to
to
ask
push
you
it through the
about
radio.
that. How long have you been doing the radio show?
It will be 1 year in October.
Ah, congratulations.
So we'll have the big 1 year anniversary coming up soon here. And for anybody else out there that wants a radio show, contact Robin Robertson at Pegasus Netwaves, because they're looking for more people to come on and do shows. And they've got a great format for doing it as well.
Cool.
And, so yeah, it's been a year for that. Of course, previously, Kathy Hines, who used to be there at Spirit Co-op with me all the time, she brought me onto her show, was it 3 years ago? And so I had my little bitty tiny 15-minute. Huh? So yeah, I had my little 15-minute. Yeah, that was well. It was It was internet TV / radio. It was an odd thing. I mean, it was a radio show, but we had a live camera feed basically.
Right. What
So
was that called?
it
I forgot.
was Celebrity U Radio.
Uh-huh.
So it was a radio show, but we had a live internet feed basically. So you get to watch us while we're on the show, which was always fun because we got to play with cameras and do all kinds of wild, crazy stuff with you. Oh yeah.
What do you like best about your radio show? About doing the show itself?
The best thing about it, it's absolute freedom to just be you and go nuts for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Honestly, there's that, and you get a format for being able to put information out to a much bigger audience. I mean, it's internet, so it goes everywhere. Mm-hmm. So there's that, and I'm going to try to make it much more interactive going forward. So a lot more back and forth with.
Who's been your favorite guest?
Ooh, favorite guest.
Or some good guests. If you don't want to pick one.
Yeah, no. It's tough. I've had a lot of great guests. So some of the biggest guests, I had Lisa Hart. She was on. She's Buns of Steel. Everybody's ever heard Buns of Steel? She sold millions and millions of DVDs. Had her on. Carla Ferrer. She's been on Oprah. So I mean, I've had an Oprah person on my show.
Her name?
Carla Ferrer.
Oh, okay.
I think I don't know if she's been at Speaker Club before or not, but she does a lot of speaking all over the place. Nice. Amber Rogers. Amber was fun.
Yeah.
Amber's always fun because she's just vivacious and bubbly.
Yeah.
And so it's just I've got all kinds of different people that come on my show with if it deals in health, we talk about it on there at some point.
Got it. That's great. Without naming names, have you had some challenging interviews on the show? Have you had any of those yet?
I haven't had any of those yet.
Okay.
So far I set the format for the show, so I'm sure I'll have some of those later on. But so far it's been.
I did that one. I did that 10-week show, the Business Radio Brunch, again, because that was thanks to Kathy Hines. That was on live, on terrestrial radio here in Dallas, and it was fun, but it was a lot of work to be ready for a 2-hour show every week. But we didn't have any. I wouldn't call it bad guests, but what we did was we brought in. They had some issues with their phone system, where people couldn't ask questions over the phone if the interview was over the phone. So my idea to overcome that was to actually do a studio audience. So we'd have 4 or 5 or 6 people every show sit in the studio with us, and we made sure there were mics nearby them, and so they could ask the phone guests questions. And this one week we had the guests were. A couple of the guests were potential sponsors, and they could not stop talking about their product. The question would be a plug. They would ask the person who we were interviewing a question, but their question would be a plug for their product.
Yes, I've been in that situation before.
Oh my God, it was so. I don't know. They didn't find it awkward at all.
Of course not. They're the ones.
Yeah, but I kept having to say things like, "Well, no matter what you're selling, this is how you do this," or, well, what if you were doing something else, and who would you want to? It was really frustrating. So only 10 weeks, and I got to have that one difficult show out of the 10. But
I will say, whenever I was on with Kathy, we had some very interesting stuff because it was live feed. We didn't have a studio audience other than the other people that were there for other parts of the show.
Yes, yeah.
But we did have one person that came on. I was doing some type of interview thing on there, and this one person kept on trying to plug her products while she was on there with me doing that. And I was shutting her down for like 15 minutes, just trying to shut her down on plugging her products because I wasn't going to let her do it.
Yeah. Well, that I mean, the model was, for that show and for my show, it was like you pay to play. If you want to have us be a sponsor, we're glad to take your money and let you be a sponsor. If you're a guest, yeah, you mention what you're doing because you were nice enough to come spend 2 hours with us on a Sunday morning, but you don't get to make your talking about your thing, override the paying sponsors. And
Exactly.
yeah, and change the whole tone of the conversation to where it's about you instead of about what the topic of the show was. But there are those people I call them me networkers. Those are the ones that you're never going to see again, but they come and they get everybody's business card and they spam everybody and they, it's all about me, it's all about me, let me tell you about me. And here's what I can do for you. That's where they talk about you. Here's what I can do for you.
Exactly. The most awkward time I've had with the whole radio experience was W.T. Greer.
Okay.
W.T. cracked me up. He left me speechless one day with the question he asked. And it was, I forget what the topic was or what we were talking about, but he throws a question out there, and I turned bright red and I was frozen because I wasn't expecting the question. And after I was like, okay, show's over, folks. It was just.
So it was like we have an appropriate question?
It was not really inappropriate. It was, I wasn't expecting it. It threw me off.
Yeah.
It was, anyway, it's on video, so it's captured for the world to see. It's on YouTube. If you go on my YouTube page, it's there. See, it was actually the last show that we did.
Oh,
it's the last show that we did before shutting things down. So yeah, it was funny. If you ever want to see me completely red-faced and embarrassed.
Wow. Now I will mention that as a shameless plug that all 20 hours of the Business Networking Brunch radio show are available in the members section of jeffs30seconds.com. So I took, we talk about repurposing our content, and it's 20 really solid hours on business networking, and they're all available 1 hour at a time for download if you're a member at jeffs30seconds.com. So check that out. It's only $9.95 a month.
Yeah, and I'll add an extra
we
point
usually don't do.
You're actually doing a speaking engagement coming up the 26th of September.
Right, I'll be speaking on Saturday, it looks like. Actually, probably Saturday and Sunday at Robert Parkerson's event.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I've been on, I've spoken to national groups before, but I've never shared the platform with some of the high-profile people I'm lucky enough to be sharing the platform with. So, like Robert himself and C.J. Ortiz and Glenn Morshower, who is the nicest man in the world. Have you done Glenn's Extra Mile? Did you attend that? Did you get to attend that last one?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well, make sure next time he does the Extra Mile that you get there. I've been to 2 of them, and it's great every time, and it's never the same. But Glenn, for those of you who don't recognize his name, you will definitely recognize his face because he's, among other things, the only actor who's been on every season of 24 besides Kiefer Sutherland, playing the same part. I think he's like an NSA person or something like that. I'm not a 24 fan, but
you'll recognize his face and his voice.
Yeah, he was killed in one of the Transformer movies, and then he came back as a different character because the director or the producer wanted him in the movie. So he was killed in like the first one, I think, and then he came back in this third as General Morshower. They used his name, which is always funny. But he was on the West Wing, and he usually plays a military or FBI or cop kind of guy. He was, I'm trying to remember the character's name. He was one of the dads on Friday Night Lights. He was Jesse Plemons' dad, who on Friday Night Lights. But amazing guy, amazing actor. He's a Dallas boy. Went to Hillcrest High School, and I think Temple Emmanuel for Hebrew school, and but he has become one of the he's one of the most cast people in Hollywood, and he started teaching a class about how to get cast. And he tells the story, but how that class for actors and aspiring actors turned into motivational talk for everybody, without changing the content hardly at all. He got approached by an executive who came up to him and talked about how much he liked his talk, and that it wasn't about acting, it was about life, and how he wanted to come speak at his company, and his company was like Exxon or something like that.
Wow.
And so Glenn became a corporate speaker totally by accident, and he's been doing that piece for like 25 years. But wow. He's doing a couple hours at Robert's event on that Saturday. But so I'm looking. I think I'm opening for Glenn Morshower. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that it plays out that way, so I can brag about that.
He'd be a tough act to follow.
Yeah, it would be, yeah, very much so. No, he speaks and we end the day. So partially because Robert knows that Glenn doesn't stay on the clock very well.
Okay, yeah.
But nobody ever wants to leave, so it's not like people are wanting to give him the hook. They just keep sitting there loving what he's saying. But you don't ask Glenn to do 10 minutes and then expect to actually have him only do 10 minutes.
Yeah. Ask for 10, expect 20, 30.
Yeah, but no, like I said, nobody ever wants him to leave, so he never overstays his welcome. Unlike other people we know. That's the number one don't in the speaking world, as far as I'm concerned, is don't go long.
Mm-hmm. Unless the audience is like, please keep going.
Well, yeah, again, there are exceptions to every rule, but none of the rest of us can go long. Yeah. Because we won't get hired again. I had a guy go long. Remember back a few years ago when we have 2 speakers at every speaker co-op meeting, people would get annoyed at me because I'd only give them 15 minutes. And, they were used to 20 or 30, and now we give 20, and we have a 15-minute, roundtable conversation with them. But I had one guy who, he was the second 15-minute presenter, and he went like 30 minutes, and I couldn't, short of physically going up there and carrying him off the stage, I could not get him to stop talking. And after the fact, people said, "Oh, it was great. We didn't mind." But as the guy planning the event who promised to get everybody out at the regular time, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I won't name names, but it's just it's not a good feeling wanting to give the hook to a speaker. So don't be the speaker who they want to give the hook to.
Yeah. If you get 20, take 19 and a half and give 30 seconds for applause.
There you go. There you go. Well, and if they say, well, why don't you just take more time, that's different.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, better to leave them wanting more, right? Was that the George Costanza thing? Leave on a high note? That's my time.
Leave on a high note. That's it. I'm out the door. That was a great episode. Love Seinfeld.
Yeah. So one of the things that's fun I like talking about on here, Clint, is what are you consuming these days? What books or records or podcasts or movies or whatever what are you consuming media-wise these days?
What am I consuming media-wise? I read a lot of research. I'm a research hound, so if it's something I can't pick up and skim through quickly, it's tough for me to sit down and just read through a book. So I'll pick something up, I'll skim through it. So
what do you listen to when you're working out?
I listen to some rock. I listen to some trance. I listen to techno. I listen to, if it's got a hard, fast, loud beat, that's what I listen to whenever I work out.
Okay.
There is no listen to podcasts on workout. That's not what I'm there for. Mm-mm.
Got it. Yeah, that's see when I go I found a headset I can swim in, so I listen to podcasts while I'm swimming, but entertainment stuff like the Nerdist and interviews and things like that. But I'd seen it before, but I started watching all the episodes of The League on Netflix, and The League's about a
Yeah.
bunch of idiots who play fantasy football. And so
Uh-huh.
football season is starting. It's actually tonight is the first game of the 2014 season, and they're really not nice people, but they're very funny. It's really a good ensemble, and you don't have to like fantasy football to get it. It helps, but it's funny. It's men being bad, women being bad, and just really they they were playing paintball recently, and one of the guys brought a paintbrush and he called it a paintball knife.
Wow.
So he had his paintball knife to play while they were
So
because they all everybody had guns, but he brought also just in case a paintball knife.
yeah, that's very smart, actually.
Yeah,
Very
it's
smart of
clever.
him.
Yeah,
Um,
it's very clever.
so yeah, I'm usually I'm reading little bit pieces off the internet. So it's just if it's something I can read in 5-10 minutes, I go through and I do it. If it's a book,
Yeah.
I'll go through it. I'll skim. I will basically speed read through it. I'll pick out the pieces that I'm looking for, and then I'm on to the next one.
hmm
So it's
I
it's tough for me to sit down and like.
Yeah, I like
Huh?
novels, but I can't remember the last one I read. I just started one, so hopefully I can get through it because I enjoy it when I take the time. But who has time anymore?
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm a movie buff. I love movies,
Okay.
so I'll go out. I'll take 2 hours for a movie, especially if it's action adventure. The Avengers, especially if it's from Marvel. If it's a Marvel movie, I'm there. Okay.
So,
If
so
it's
how was
comic books,
Guardians
anything
of the
like that,
Galaxy?
I actually have not seen it yet, so I need to go out and watch that. I'm behind on my movie watching schedule. Um, I need to go watch that. I've got to go watch Ninja Turtles. I grew up with the Ninja Turtles. I got to go watch Ninja Turtles. Um, so I like those because it gets me out of everything. It gets me thinking. It gets me expansive. Um, Pulls me out of reality for a little bit. And that's why I go to the movies. Is you get pulled out of reality. I'm not there to see reality. I see enough of that every day. Um, so yeah, there's that. But
Okay.
yeah, everything else. Yeah, for the reading, I do quick reads. I skim through. I'm a research guy, so I'm looking for. I know what I want. I know what I'm looking for, and I find that.
Okay. I get it. I have all kinds of downloaded ebooks from people on marketing and sales and speaking and all this other stuff, and I have trouble getting around to reading them. I even move them to my phone so I can read them on the Kindle app,
Hmm.
but I still don't get to all of the ones I want to get to. You got to read that stuff to help yourself, to help your clients. So it's important. I struggle to read nonfiction because I enjoy fiction and I see reading as escape. So most of my reading time now is news, but because I know how biased all the news is, I spend a lot of time reading editorial because I know nobody's trying to pass something off as as subjective rather. I know when it's an opinion piece that I know that, and I don't have to research to find out if they're telling the truth because it doesn't. They're furthering their agenda, and if I know up front it's an opinion, then I don't have to spend a lot of time challenging what they're saying because I know that it's agendized.
Yeah, I will say one thing I do read a lot is Business Insider. All their
Okay.
website stuff that comes out. Because I mean, they're short articles. They're quick, easy reads. There's usually some great information in there. So Business Insider, I read their stuff a lot. Huffington
Cool.
Post, I'll read their stuff because it's quick, it's easy. I get the information is just there.
Yeah.
Research something I can research it deeper. But yeah, as far as books, man, I got tons of books. There's the library. Not quite as impressive as your library, but
Yeah, this is a small fraction of my library. I actually just recently been looking at a lot of stuff in Entrepreneur magazine online because they've been posting a bunch of stuff about publishing, writing, getting your own, publishing your own book, self-publishing. They've had a little series of like the 10 things you should know for self-publishing and stuff like that. So I've been looking at that stuff too. Although I found a really cool story about a guy in Turkey who found catacombs under his house when he was doing some renovations.
I'm sure that was fun. Did you find those an accident?
Yeah.
Start digging down a little bit.
Yeah, he found like an underground city under his house. And one of the things we do on the podcast here is we post in the comments. I post a bunch of the things we talk about. So I'll highlight the article I was talking about the publishing and also about the underground city, and I'll link to Business Insider since you mentioned that too. And double check when I post the podcast, Clint, that if you remember something I forgot because I've been making notes about stuff or people we talked about to link to, put up a link to them in the comments so they know we talked about them.
Okay.
And then maybe they'll watch and see what we said about them.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of reading and articles, some shameless self-promotion here. I'm actually writing for an online magazine now. So
cool.
I'm their official health and fitness guy, and this is for Living Healthy, Living Smart, which is put out by Chris Gibson. And we're actually going after Huffington Post. So like Huffington Post has their health and wellness section,
okay.
And so Business Insider, we are targeting them. They actually technically are going to be our the market piece that we're going after. We're going after some of their market share. So I'm going to be their health and fitness writer, and we're supposed to launch on the 4th of September. I think it's been pushed back to the 15th of September. And I've already got 3 articles on that and all kinds of other stuff. So, yeah. Shameless plug, but if you read some health and wellness articles, you might as well read mine.
Good. Well, I've started swimming this year pretty regularly. I was up to once a day, and I want to get back to once a day. So what, in addition to that, is one thing I can do so there's less of me to love?
Let's see here. You're doing the swimming, which is great. Do you have breakfast?
I do.
Okay.
I try to have. Some days I forget, but like today I didn't. But I try to have something with protein for breakfast every day.
Yeah, that is a huge help, because whenever you have breakfast, it sets everything up for the rest of the day. You actually eat a little bit less throughout the day because you're already starting off, high on calories, and your body is already prepared, and it's got energy for the rest of the day to go through. Okay. Sleeping at night, how do you sleep?
I sleep 6 or 7 hours, but I wake up every 3. So I haven't slept more than 4 or 5 hours at once in a long time. I go right back to sleep. Okay,
but yeah, there's at 3 hours you're up. Okay, so we got to find some way to keep you down for the most part for at least 6 hours straight. That way you go all the way through both segments of REM sleep, because you're waking up in the middle, so you don't get to go through both segments. You're going through REM 1, and then you wake up, and then you go back into REM 1. So you're never really getting deep sleep. Once you get deep sleep, you'll start seeing the pounds come off pretty quickly. Funny enough, sleep is really effective for fat loss and also stress reduction and everything else. So we can talk about that offline.
Do you have a good morning breakfast shake with ID Life?
Yes, we do. Very good stuff. We have it's grass-fed whey, micro-milled chia seeds, stevia for the sweetener, and very basic, very simple. But you take that, mix that with some fruits, drink it. You're off and going. It keeps you full it's good for about 3 hours.
Okay.
3, maybe 4 hours, depending on what other fiber source you get in there.
Bring me some to the next speaker co-op meeting, and I'll buy some from you. Okay, actually, I'll bring you some samples, and you can go online and buy it there, because I don't really carry products around with me. Okay. Well, you got 2 weeks to find it. right, I'll go online. I'll go online, but if you'll post your link in the comments for this podcast, so I can do that.
Yeah, I'll bring you some samples so you can try to.
I usually have like a turkey sandwich or something like that to get the protein with wheat bread, of course, and cheese sometimes.
For breakfast.
Yeah.
Oh wow, so you do like lunch for breakfast? That's funny because I do like breakfast for dinner half the time.
Yeah, it's just easy because I can jump in the car or whatever and get going. So, and I know the protein is more important than having cereal or something like that.
Yeah, what you might try out is have you seen like the really thin sliced the sandwich thins?
I don't know. I mean, I'm buying the deli sandwich meat, not the processed stuff.
Okay. Well, I mean for the bread. So getting like the full pieces, full slice of bread. The sandwich thins, they're like it's like taking a piece of bread and slicing it in half. So you're cutting down the carbohydrate content. Really good stuff. I like those quite a bit for that. And for breakfast, it's almost like having a breakfast muffin.
Okay.
Sort of.
Look at that.
Yeah.
There you go. Everything you need to know about what Jeff has for breakfast.
Yeah. And so yeah.
All right.
Otherwise.
Well, I think we'll wrap things up on this edition of Speakers Sitting in Chairs Chatting on Air. Anything else you want to fill us in about, Clint, before we sign off?
I think I've done enough shameless self-promotion already today. So buy the book, listen to the show. Come out Speaker Co-op.
Yep, shared some stories. We learned a little bit more about each other. That's always good. And
everybody stuck at sports, apparently.
Yeah. Now, is your book just an ebook, or do you have some hard copies?
It is just an ebook. However, since it's on Amazon, you can order from them, and they'll do the print.
Right, get it printed. Well, I've been thinking about doing that for mine, and so I can have some books at events, because everybody so far has been just fine buying the digital bundle and for the download. But I just get a feeling I might sell a couple more if there was something for people to carry home.
Yeah, so. I will eventually have some prints, not of this one, but I've got another edition of this that I'm doing with. It's more business specific.
Okay.
So I'm working on that with Dean Lindsay, so we're going to do that one. That'll be a print only version.
Got it.
As opposed to this one, like digital only. The one I'm going to do with him will be like print only. So that one, we're going to do it. We're going to do this kind of like a special edition.
Okay.
But it'd be very business health specific. So we're working on that. So we'll get that out next year.
All right. Well, this has been Speakers Sitting in Chairs Chatting on Air with Clint Fuqua. I'm Jeff Klein. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Clint.
All right. Thanks for having me on.